1. The eternal city's legacy begins. What if one city shaped the very foundations of the modern world not just through conquest, but through ideas, architecture, and law? That city was Rome. Before the rise of Paris, London, or Washington, there was a city carved from legend and ambition: Rome, the eternal city. Born from myth, raised through warfare, and immortalized by empire, Rome didn't just dominate the ancient world, it wrote the rulebook for Western civilization. Its republic would inspire modern democracies. Its legal systems echo in courtrooms today. Its roads connected continents. Its language birthed nations. And its military strategy remains studied by generals. Even our calendar owes its structure to Roman minds. But the rise of Rome wasn't clean or righteous. It was forged in violence, betrayal, and relentless ambition. For every grand monument, there was a battlefield soaked in blood. For every law written, a rival silenced. The very civilization that gave us senators also gave us emperors, gladiators, and civil wars. Over the next 10 chapters, we'll trace how Rome grew from a swampy village to a republic of citizens and then to a brutal, breathtaking empire. We'll uncover how it fell, how it endured, and why it still matters. So if you want to understand the roots of the West, the power, the pride, and the paradox of Rome, stay with us. Hit subscribe, and let's begin the journey from republic to empire. 2. The founding myths and early kingdom. Long before Rome became the capital of an empire, it existed only in myth, a story whispered by poets, carried through centuries, and woven into the identity of an entire civilization. According to legend, Rome was born from blood and betrayal. The twin brothers Romulus and Remus, sons of the war god Mars, were abandoned at birth and left to die on the banks of the Tiber River. Miraculously, a she-wolf found them, nursed them, and kept them alive. Raised by shepherds, they grew strong and bold, destined for greatness. But destiny, in Roman fashion, came with violence. A quarrel over where to build their new city ended in tragedy. Romulus killed Remus, named the city after himself, and became its first king. This brutal origin wasn't a flaw in the Roman worldview, it was a feature. From its very inception, Rome admired strength, conquest, and the ruthless pursuit of order. Historically, Rome was ruled by kings for over 2 centuries, beginning around 753 BCE. These early rulers laid the groundwork for Roman society, building temples, organizing armies, and establishing religious rituals. The Etruscans, a powerful neighboring civilization, deeply influenced Roman culture during this time, from architecture to divination. 3. The rise of the Roman Republic. With the fall of its last king in 509 BCE, Rome entered a bold new experiment, one that would redefine power for centuries: the Republic. No longer ruled by monarchs, Rome handed authority to elected officials, guided by laws, tradition, and civic duty. In theory, it was governed by the people. In practice, it was something far more complex. At the heart of the Republic stood the Senate, a council of elite patrician wealthy landowners who held immense sway over politics and policy. Alongside them were the consuls, 2 powerful magistrates elected annually to lead the military and enforce the laws. Their term was short, and their power deliberately limited as safeguard against tyranny. But the Republic wasn't built for everyone. Rome was sharply divided between patricians and plebeians, the upper class and the commoners. For years, the plebeians fought for more rights, walking out of the city, refusing to fight in wars, and demanding fair representation. For conquest of Italy and the rise of Roman power. By the 4th century BCE, Rome had mastered its internal politics and now had turned its focus outward. The Italian peninsula was a patchwork of tribes, city-states, and rival powers. If Rome was to survive, it had to dominate. The Roman military was unlike anything Italy had seen. Its strength lay not just in numbers, but in discipline, organization, and adaptability. Soldiers were divided into legions, each with a clear chain of command and tactical flexibility. Rome didn't just fight it. One by one, neighboring territories fell. The Latin League was brought to heel. The powerful Etruscans, who had once ruled over Rome, were defeated. Even the fierce Samnites in central Italy, who had humiliated Roman armies in early battles, were eventually crushed after 3 brutal wars. Then came the Greek colonies in the southern cities like Tarentum and Neapolis. These rich, cultured city-states called for help from Pyrrhus of Epirus, a brilliant Hellenistic general. He brought elephants, a professional army, and the prestige of Alexander's legacy. Pyrrhus won battles, but at such high cost that they coined a phrase, a Pyrrhic victory, a win too costly to be worth it. 5. The Punic Wars, Rome versus Carthage. With Italy under its control, Rome now faced a new challenge, one that would define its future and test its survival. Carthage, a powerful maritime empire based in North Africa. Carthage dominated the western Mediterranean through trade, wealth, and naval power. But two empires cannot share a sea. What followed were the Punic Wars, 3 devastating conflicts that spanned over a century and changed the fate of the ancient world. The First Punic War, 264 to 241 BCE, began over control of Sicily. Rome, new to naval warfare, built a fleet from scratch and shocked Carthage by defeating them at sea. After 23 years of attrition, Carthage surrendered Sicily, Rome's first overseas province. But the true storm came with the Second Punic War, 218 to 201 BC. Carthage sent its deadliest weapon, Hannibal Barca. With an army, war elephants, and unmatched strategy, Hannibal crossed the Alps, a feat thought impossible, and began devastating Italy. At Cannae, he annihilated a Roman army in one of history's most brilliant tactical victories. 6. The crisis within civil wars and the fall of the Republic. Rome had conquered its enemies abroad, but it couldn't conquer the divisions festering within. As the Republic expanded, so did inequality, corruption, and ambition. What began as a state governed by shared power was unraveling into chaos ruled by personal ambition. Wealth from conquest flooded into the hands of the elite. Latifundia, massive estates worked by slaves, crushed small farmers. The plebeians, once proud citizens, now crowded into Rome's slums, angry and disenfranchised. The gap between rich and poor grew unbridgeable. Enter the reformers, Tiberius and Gaius Gracchus, brothers who tried to redistribute land and restore justice. Their efforts triggered political violence. Both were assassinated, and with them died the Republic's fragile peace. Then came the generals. Power shifted from the Senate to the battlefield. Gaius Marius and Lucius Cornelius Sulla used their armies to seize control of Rome itself, setting a dangerous precedent that whoever had military loyalty could take the city. Out of this volatile climate rose Julius Caesar, a brilliant general and ruthless politician. After conquering Gaul, Caesar marched on Rome in 49 BCE, defying the Senate. Civil war erupted. Caesar emerged victorious and declared himself dictator for life. The Republic was effectively dead. 7. Augustus and the birth of the Roman Empire. In the wake of Caesar's assassination, Rome plunged deeper into chaos. Civil wars tore through the Republic. Allies became enemies, and vengeance fueled every political move. Out of this blood-soaked power struggle rose a young man few had taken seriously: Octavian, Caesar's adopted son and heir. Clever, cautious, and politically ruthless, Octavian joined forces with Mark Antony, and Lepidus to form the Second Triumvirate. Together, they hunted Caesar's assassins, defeated their armies, and divided the Roman world. But the alliance was doomed. Antony drifted east and into the arms of Cleopatra, Queen of Egypt. Their love and his growing power alarmed Rome. Octavian seized the moment. He launched a propaganda war, portraying Antony as a traitor enthralled by a foreign queen. In 31 BCE, at the Battle of Actium, Octavian crushed Antony and Cleopatra's forces. With no rivals left, 8. Pax Romana Rome at its peak. With Augustus at the helm, the Roman Empire entered its golden age, a time of prosperity, expansion, and unprecedented peace, known as the Pax Romana, or Roman peace. Spanning from 27 BCE to 180 CE, this 200-year period marked the height of Roman civilization. Rome stretched from the windswept shores of Britannia to the sun-scorched deserts of Egypt, from the Atlantic coasts of Hispania to the lush hills of Asia Minor. Over 70 million people, nearly a quarter of the world's population at the time, lived under Roman rule. 9. Crisis and decline, the fall of the Western Empire. The Pax Romana could not last forever. After the death of Emperor Marcus Aurelius in 180 CE. 10. Legacy of Rome, how the empire shaped the West. Though the Western Roman Empire fell in 476 CE, Rome never truly died. Its ideas, institutions, and identity were too deeply embedded in the foundations of the Western world. In truth, Rome still lives in our language, our laws, our cities, and our systems. Start with language. Latin, once the language of Roman administration and literature, became the root of the Romance languages Italian, Spanish, French, Portuguese, and Romanian. Even English, though Germanic, borrows heavily from Latin vocabulary, especially in science, law, and politics. Roman law shaped legal systems across Europe and beyond. The concepts of citizenship, contracts, rights, and legal precedent were refined by Roman jurists and preserved in later empires and republics, including modern democratic systems. Architecturally, Rome set the gold standard. The arch, dome, and concrete engineering techniques created structures so strong they still stand today. The Pantheon, aqueducts, and of course the Colosseum. City planning, public baths, and road systems inspired urban development for centuries. The Roman idea of a republic, a state not ruled by kings, but by elected officials, shaped thinkers from Machiavelli to the founding fathers of the United States. The Senate, the veto, the concept of civic duty all echo ancient Rome.